Hello, everyone. Welcome to PodRocket. This is Noel, hosting for the first time, so welcome. Today, Alex Trost, is that right?
Trost. Yep.
Trost is joining us. Alex is a dev experience lead at Prismic and the creator of Frontend Horse. How you doing, Alex?
I'm good, and I had no idea this was your first time. It's also my first time, so we're going to go through this together. This is really cool.
Yeah. I've co-hosted before, but Kate gave me the reins today, so here we are. We're rolling.
I wish I could say I co-guested, but unfortunately, this was my first time. But
no worries.
I'm thrilled to be here. Thanks for having me.
Of course. Yeah, cool. Yeah, we'll get through it. Yeah, I guess maybe to get us rolling, tell us a little bit about yourself, your background. How you found yourself as a dev experience lead.
Yeah. So in the third grade, so I'm the developer experience team lead over at Prismic. I'm sure we'll get into what Prismic is and everything. In my free time, I run Frontend Horse, which focuses on creative development and creative coding, CodePens, all that kind of stuff, and it's kind of encapsulates a community and a Twitch stream and a blog and a newsletter. It's just a whole bunch of stuff thrown together, but it's a lot of fun. And yeah, I'm a front end developer kind of by trade, but before that was an elementary school teacher, or primary for you across the pond, out there. Not you, Noel.
Yeah,
yes. I assume, yeah, but
yeah.
And also before that was a graphic designer, so have like a couple of different backgrounds before programming that I still try to like work into things, and like teaching and design and like art and programming. It's all kind of one big interest now, and so yeah, that's a bit about me.
Nice. Yeah, I feel like with front end developers in particular, I find a lot of them like have educational backgrounds, especially those that land in these like dev experience roles.
Yeah,
I don't know if it's just like that sense of empathy from being an educator historically, or what it is exactly, but I feel like that's a common pattern I see.
I think you're, yeah, like I've definitely seen that quite a bit. I know quite a few educator or former educators who were like, this isn't sustainable as a career, but I still want to, be that kind of person who is teaching. And yeah, I think you nailed it with empathy, where you have to have that to teach, and developer advocacy, developer experience is that kind of a role. So
yeah. Cool. So I guess with that, would it make more sense to jump into Frontend Horse first from here?
Sure. Yeah.
Cool. Yeah. So what is it? Tell us about it.
Yeah. So Frontend Horse. First off, you might be. Let's just start with the fact that I do not own a horse. I am not a horse person. I never was a horse girl growing up, and I just always thought that .horse is the funniest top level domain, or TLD, that you can get. It's just like, there's .info, there's .org, there's all kinds of .horse. It's just like you can't beat it. So as I was trying to come up with like a newsletter name, Alex's weekly digest of front end finds doesn't have the same ring, and it also doesn't have like the branding built in. So to go front end .horse, it's just, I don't know.
Yeah, it's memorable for sure.
The puns are there, right? Like just the puns that you can run with.
Yeah. It's great. Oh. No, yeah, I love it. It's like it's so weirdly specific, and like, why is that a TLD? Who knows? But it's there. There you go.
Just the horse community cried out, and someone answered the call. So thankfully, that happened. But getting that horse bit out of the way, what is it? It is basically kind of four things at this point, and I touched on them briefly. I think the thing that it is most now is a Twitch stream and a community. So like I always waffle back and forth, because people might know it for the community or the Twitch stream. Let's go with the Twitch stream, since that's what I started with. Basically, the Twitch stream, we bring on creative developers and just any kind of like front end developers, and they show us how to make something like incredible. Like we can make like a bouncy castle in SVG. Someone came on and taught us how to make a 3JS hamburger drum kit. So the hamburger morphs into a drum kit because we had like a whole theme, and you can play it and it's playable, and it like just like really over the top, like the fun parts of the web, not so much the like how to build your SaaS and how to, profit from internet business. That's never been like my deep interest. So Frontend Horse always focuses on like, how can you do something just like really wacky or just really like gorgeous with web tech? And so, yeah, we get some fantastic people on to teach us that stuff. And so, yeah, that's the stream. The Discord community, just friendly bunch of folks that started out just hanging out in the stream chat. Kind of realized I like talking to these people, but they all go away after the stream. So let's give that a home. And it's been going for, I don't know, maybe like 7 months. I have no idea, but it's been going strong. It's a wonderful, friendly place. If people are looking for a way to learn more about front end development, just have a nice place to chat with people or ask questions, I recommend it as the as the person who's kind of managing it. But
we'll be sure to get links to both in the show notes so people
cool.
can come discover. Awesome. But yeah, were you one of those people that I don't know, has been lamenting the early weird days of the web more, and that's kind of what led to the inception of this, or what got at you here?
Yeah. Definitely a bit, right? Like I've always enjoyed that part of the web where it's just like, it's weird. It's just weird for the sake of being weird. Or it's just beautiful for the sake of being beautiful, right? Like just the creative aspects of the web, not as much that money making aspect. I went from graphic design to teaching. Like I never had that like I got to get rich kind of thing in me. So I've always been drawn to those parts. But what actually got me like making Frontend Horse, because it started as a newsletter. What got me into it was scrolling through CodePen, and CodePen can be like a mix of like, oh, this is like a useful snippet for how to do something practical, or it can just be the most nonsensical, coolest thing you've ever seen, a button that does 5 wild things that you would never pull into a real website, but it's wow, this is cool, right? And digging into that code, because like that's the beautiful part about it, is that like so many websites you see like, oh my gosh, this is gorgeous, but the code is completely like buried in minified JavaScript, and you can't even like begin to grok it, right? But CodePen, it's just there. Like there's the map, and you just have to like dig in and find it, or like dig in and like try to read it and understand it. And so I would like spend like a ton of time just going through and being like, how are they doing this? And then finding it out was such a like dopamine rush of like, whoa, that is a cool technique. I didn't know you could do that. I didn't know that was a JavaScript library. I didn't know that was a CSS property. What? Like, how do you? So that was fun. And then becoming like friends with these people who are making these awesome code pens and asking them like, how are you doing this? And then having them break it down and being like, that's awesome. More people need to know about this. Like, I can't let this be just like niche, information that only I can't bear this weight. This is too cool. I have to tell everyone. So it kind of started there and just became a thing where it's like, if I make a newsletter, I get to tell lots of folks about this cool thing, and I get to talk to the creator of that cool thing and ask them, how do you make cool thing, right? Tell me about it, and I get to tell other people. So it became like almost an excuse, like this. I'm seeing through you, PodRocket. You get to talk to not me, but lots of other cool people, because it's like if you were to go, hey, Scott Hanselman, I want to talk to you for 30 minutes. He'd be like, I'm a little busy. But if you say, Scott Hanselman, come on our podcast, boom, you got him, right? Like that's the thing. Same thing with the newsletter. You're able to ask people for their time, and you get to learn, and it's awesome. So that's kind of where it started, just curiosity around creative coding and wanting to put that code out to the world and say, this is really neat, but also, teach. And
Nice. So when you started the newsletter, were you mainly kind of just going through like these, the pens and finding cool snippets of code that you could share and aggregating them and sending them out, or from the get-go, did you know that you wanted to talk to the creators of these things and have it be more of a dialogue?
Yeah, it was definitely the second one, because there are a lot of good newsletters that already say like, check out this CodePen, it's gorgeous. But none of them were saying, check out this CodePen, here's what they're doing, here's how they're doing it, here's that trick. And like, here's the technique that you can walk away with. It's this specific SVG filter, and this is how they're animating it, right? Like I wanted that. That's the part to me where like I'll get other newsletters and I'm like, cool, but now you've wasted my afternoon, because now I have to go in and like my curiosity isn't sated there, because I need to know. So I figured if there's anyone else out there who's also like, how are they doing this? There's no JavaScript in this CodePen. What's going on? This is like that TLDR kind of thing for them.
Yeah, that's super interesting. I feel like I've been in that seat of discovery many times as well. I'm just like, wait, how is this working? You click like one of the tabs up there, and like the CSS tab is empty, or the JavaScript tag. It's like, wait, what? Right. Like, yeah, my mind is blown right now.
Those are some of my favorites, where like I think so many people look at those, and if you don't open the tab, you can probably go, I've seen stuff like this, but then you realize, no, that's not an image. Like, that's just CSS or whatever. And you're like, what? Right? Like you do that double take, but if you just see it at a glance, you're like, yeah, cool picture. It's like, no. Like, so yeah, that's the fun for me.
So when you were coming up with this newsletter, who did you have as like the target reader in mind? Were you like, I want to focus on front end devs who are already, pretty acclimated and they'll understand what they're looking at, or were you trying to make it super approachable for someone who hadn't been in that space for very long? Or who are you envisioning reading?
Yeah, I think it's always been a thing of if I'm not learning a thing from it, or like if I can't add anything here, then it's not really worth covering for the most part. Like back to CSS art a little bit. Beyond a few key techniques, there's not a ton that you can explain from CSS art piece to CSS art piece, where like once you get a few of those key things of like backgrounds with linear gradients and drop shadows, once you get that, it's pretty much like, all right, you know how to walk, now walk for 500 miles, right? So like it's just persistence. And so like those, I'm kind of like, that's cool, it's awesome, but I have nothing to add there, because it's just that kind of like, yep, just keep doing that one thing for a long time and do it well. And so that I kind of usually skipped over. But yeah, it's basically like if I did it for myself. Honestly, like I was always the audience. I'm like, if I find it cool, if I am learning something from it, then it'll probably make it. If neither of those happen, it's not going to. So
gotcha. So was that kind of your main driving force in picking topics? And is it still how you decide what to talk about? Is the stuff you find cool and like novel?
Yeah, I think so, because it'll like I'll still have to find, because like once you find a few SVG filter pens, it's tough to be like, this person's using a new SVG filter. Like there's only so many and they don't add them pretty often, right? So it becomes a thing where, like it has to be used in a unique way, or used with some new combination of other attributes, and just like, this is a cool thing. Look how they're using this.
Nice. When you started, was it a video medium at all? You said it was a newsletter, so was it just like a text interview, or what was that like?
It was just honestly me DMing people on Twitter and going, hey, this is awesome, can I ask you some questions about it for my newsletter? Nice. So yeah, no video for a while, and then around February of last year of 2021, I started to say, hey, want to come on and make cool stuff on Twitch with us live? And yeah, that's kind of when the video aspect of it started. And in between there, I started to write blog posts, because newsletters got a little bit limited in what you can include. Like you can't, I got pretty demo heavy, where it's like, here's this cool CodePen, and here it is destructured, and I would like break down the parts, and you can't really embed CodePens in emails, so it became yeah.
Yeah,
that
that
sort of
makes
thing.
sense. Was the how'd that transition to like a live kind of video format go? Was there anything weird, unexpected there that surprised you?
So, I mean, like the first time I did it, went live, hyped it up in the newsletter. Didn't realize that Macs are really kind of a pain in the butt with um, taking audio from one app to another, and so actually had to hold the phone up to the microphone as I talked to my guest, and so that was just lots of weirdness there, but mainly technical difficulties. But in terms of like having people build stuff live, just kind of no, I think for the most part it was kind of what I expected, but I think people really enjoyed it, and there weren't a lot of other people doing that sort of thing of like watching people just make fun creative code for the sake of it on Twitch. I don't know.
Yeah, yeah, no, that makes sense. Was the community element, like the user interaction or viewer interaction, was that kind of how you expected it to feel as well? Was there any surprises on that front?
I think it was surprising just in the sense of like what developed from it, because the people who like read the newsletter, respond to it, share it aren't always going to be the people who are in the Twitch stream or in the Discord and like chatting there. So it's cool having lots of different mediums because you get different types of folks, like people who share the blog posts on Twitter. I don't see them in the streams too often, and vice versa, right? Like, so it's just interesting being able to hit a lot of different people and talk with a lot of different people in that kind of sense.
Nice. Do most viewers, or at least people that are like in chat and stuff, do they seem like they have similar kind of dev background experiences, or are there more beginner level questions you find being asked? What does that look like?
That's the cool thing is that like somehow I've attracted lots of different people. I never built with 11T before doing the stream, but had a like big 11T community suddenly just kind of like pop up around Frontend Horse. Just with a few folks who really liked it. You've had Ben Myers on the podcast, and Ben Holmes. I'm sure lots of others that I'm gonna forget right now, but all people who found themselves in chat, part of the community, um, and yeah, like different walks of, I was gonna say life, but like different focuses. Like some people don't even do that much front end; they're more back endy, but they are curious. And some people are complete beginners, and they're there to ask questions. Some people, like Kevin Powell, will be in the chat helping and answering questions and stuff. And it's just like it's cool the diversity, because you can always kind of go, hey, I don't know what's going on here. Does someone know? And there's a good chance that like someone's going to bail me out. Honestly, the entire stream, when I stream solo, it's just chat bailing me out. Of like I don't know what I'm doing, and chat's there to help.
Yeah,
It's pretty wonderful.
it's like pair programming with like 100 people over your shoulder. Yeah,
Basically, yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
yeah. Nice, nice. That's awesome. Yeah, I feel like that's always a super cool experience, and I think one that a lot of professions don't have the, I don't know, the privilege of having this, like, oh, all these people will be online and just like work on this thing together just because it's interesting and everyone's into it. Like, is a super
Yeah,
super
yeah,
cool thing.
like that collaborative, creative opportunity. Yeah, just hopping on, creating a generative piece in CodePen, and having the chat there to like riff on ideas with you and add to it.
Yeah,
So cool.
yeah, super super cool. Yeah, so you mentioned a little bit of web tech. You said like 11D, for there was a group that seemed super tied to it that just found their way to the stream without you having really any experience there. Um, I'm curious about the actual website for Frontend Horse is like super cool. It looks really nice. Did you do most of that work yourself?
Yes, yeah. So I did like the 3D work on the like. There's some like images around the site. I did those in Blender. Um, I don't design as much as I would like to anymore, and it's like I'm very slow with it. So the design of that took months and months and months. But yeah, design. The only thing I didn't design is the logo. I got a designer friend to make the little like scripty thing. But yeah, designed that, and then the site is built in Gatsby. I need to enunciate Gatsby. Um, and yeah, it's been a fun thing where like I got it out the door and then I haven't updated it, and it needs an update because like the homepage doesn't even mention like the stream or the community or anything. It says it up at the top, but anyway, I won't critique my own site here. I easily could. I could break down every bug there is, but
yeah, no, it looks great. And yeah, I guess the reason I was asking about 11D was that was my next question, was like, were you using a framework or a generator for it? Because yeah, it looks really nice.
Yeah, I started with Gatsby, or like I was building with Gatsby for a while. These days, I kind of use more Next.js, and I'm interested in things like Astro.
Nice.
Just there's so many cool things out there, but
yeah, there's so much to explore. For sure. I was also curious. I feel like your horse, the logo you were talking about, reminds me of the like Gumby logo. Do you know
I
Gumby?
can see that. Yeah.
Like,
yeah.
Like I feel like it's this like
Pokey.
a very similar color. Pokey. Yeah. I think
Pokey.
that's right. That sounds right. Anyway, that was like
funny.
the first thing I thought of. I don't know if there was any intent there or not.
No, and I don't know if anyone's ever mentioned that, so I'll have to Google afterwards to see how much their lawyers have grounds, because they keep sending those cease and desists, but I just read them up. Like, what could they do?
Nice, very cool. Yeah, again, so yeah, we'll be sure to get links in the show notes to all these channels. Yeah, with that, I want to talk a little bit about Prismic as well, just because you spend a lot of time there. Maybe to frame the discussion for listeners, what is Prismic?
Yeah, so listeners might know Prismic as a headless CMS, but I kind of think of us more as like a headless website builder. But to start with headless CMS, if in case the listener isn't familiar, headless CMS is basically a standard CMS without a front end, right? So if you're familiar with WordPress or any other kind of CMS, typically there is the back end and the front end, and they are tightly coupled. And once you publish in the editor, it shows up on the front end. And to get a front end, or to get something like a Next.js or anything else there, can be kind of a pain in the butt. So headless CMS just gives you all the goodness of that editor interface without tying you down to anything. It's just an API, and so it's nice because you're not tied to that monolith of like a WordPress or like a Squarespace, where it's like you've got this thing that it's really hard to decouple. And as a developer, you can then choose the best tool for the job. If you are a Next.js developer and you know that your client or your company should use Next.js for this project, it's the best tool for that use case, you can do it, right? Like you can wire up Next.js to that headless CMS. But like that's not always great for editors. To have just a headless CMS, because editors love the page builder attributes of a Squarespace, right? Like if you're someone who just slings content all day, you don't want to wait for a developer to build you out a new page or to create something new for you. You want that experience that a Squarespace or a Wix gives you, because you can just grab components, move them around, build out your page, see what it looks like, and go, yep, that's what I want. And within like an hour, have a brand new page up. And editors have to turn on a dime to like take care of sales or opportunities or whatever, right? So they want that. Developers want the modern toolkits of Next.js or SvelteKit or any of those. And so you kind of want the best of those both worlds, right? And that's where like a headless page builder comes in with Prismic, where we have this concept called slices. And if you look at, like a standard landing page, what do you see? You kind of see at the top, you've got a hero, right? Like pretty much always the hero, the text on the left, the picture on the right, or some combination of that, right? Below that, you might have like a group of logos, right? So like there's another section right below that. These are the companies that trust us. Below that, it might be testimonials. And like you see those same sections on every site, right? And then there's like content blocks. And so Prismic calls those sections slices. Like you slice your website up into these slices, And as a developer, you're not focusing on building the entire page. Like I don't have to worry about the hero flowing into the logo cloud or any of that. I'm just building this slice. And as a React developer, or as just like, a modern JavaScript developer, that's super familiar to me. I'm familiar with component based website architecture, right? So building out a section for a logo slice, I know how to do that. And I know how to take in an array of images or whatever. I know how to model that out and build that slice. So developers get to build a whole bunch of these slices and hand those to the editor in the Prismic editor, and say, all right, here's all the slices you need. Go build pages. And then editors can come in and just say, all right, for this, I'm going to go with a hero. I'm going to have it so that I'm going to use the variation where the text is centered. Ooh, and then put content below that, and then put an image grid, and mix and match, move those around, reuse those slices, and so then you get the best of both worlds, right? Like they get to build the page exactly how they want it. Developers don't have to like try to troubleshoot a Squarespace front end or something. Like, my God, like having to dig into like the proprietary code of like a Wix. I don't want to do that. I want to use Next.js, like, and God forbid you have to like integrate with something else. I want to use a front end framework that I know. So everyone's happy that way, because you are shipping that page builder with slices, and yeah, it's just a great experience.
Nice. So is the editor component then part of Prismic's offering, where a person who slings content all day, I think was the phrase you used.
And that's like what they put on their LinkedIn. That's not me.
Right.
That's what...
It sounds like something that someone in charge of that would exactly. Yeah. So is there is part of the appeal of Prismic versus another headless CMS that like there is more of a focus on that like editor experience to make it less clunky. Like I put text into a text box and hit enter, and then I wait for a build, and I go look at it and see if it turned out correct. Does that question make sense? Like is that part of the sell of Prismic?
Yeah. So I think, like, I mean, even just the like having to wait for the build, that's kind of common with a lot of like if you are building with Gatsby, it's a static site generator that does hydrate over with React, but it can be tough to get previews in there. With Prismic, you do have live preview. So as soon as the editor goes in, they can, throw some images in, hit preview, and don't have to wait for that build. Because honestly, like having been at an agency, you can't tell an editor, you have to wait 5 minutes to see if this thing looks right. You can't. Like good luck. They're gonna say, get me off this. I don't want to use this. But it's the flexibility for editors, right? Like they want to be able to ship without ever bothering developers, and developers don't want that either. Developers don't want to get called in to do a really boring task of like, hey, I need a page where instead of the image being above the text, it's actually below the text. Like what a boring ticket to pick up for a developer, right? Like that's not a complicated problem that they can like feel good about solving. So yeah, give the editors the power to just move that slice below that other slice, and there you go, you're set. So like everyone's happy with that kind of a setup because it's just flexible. You just have this area where the slices can be put in, moved around, removed, whatever.
Mm-hmm. Cool. Gotcha. So is Prismic opinionated then in the front end hosting piece as well? Like, is that how you guys facilitate those like real time views during editing?
So preview. So no, but so with previews, like it works a certain way, and we have clients that actually my team, the developer experience team, is like responsible for, and I haven't touched them, but my team has done a really good job of making these kits just a dream to use. So I feel like I can brag about it, even though I didn't write like a line of the code. But yeah, so like getting previews is really easy with these kits. But if you were to like try to get previews in like a language we don't support or something like that, right? Like you're kind of on your own. You can make it work, but no, like in terms of like, go do it with Nux, go do it with Next, go do it with whatever. You just basically have to um, ask for a different version of the content, right? So like you're typically asking for the master branch essentially. Instead, you just go, hey, I got this preview ref. I'm going to go get some preview data and display that. It's just like it's really like a great way to handle previews, but it's not too much work for like someone to implement it on their own. But in terms of like supported frameworks, it's like no work at all.
Nice. Awesome. Okay, cool. Yeah, I was just even for my own sake trying to like make sure I had a full handle on this the slice of that stack that you guys are like taking ownership of, because I feel like everyone's kind of like aiming for a different subset of that like headless Jamstack world. Cool. So you mentioned it briefly in there, your team and kind of what they're in charge of. Can you elaborate on that? Like, what is your role specifically charged with as a dev experience lead, and what is your team's focus?
Yeah. So the developer experience team at Prismic is, I mean, first off, we are growing. So anyone out there, but we are so we handle the SDKs for connecting to pretty much anything like with Vue, with React. If you want to bring Prismic data into your website, our kits make it a lot easier. And yeah, like we just keep building new like best practices into those SDKs. So it's like, hey, what if you made it easier for people to have a source set and to specify the way that this works? Like, boom, it's now part of this helper library, and it's really easy. And like we just kind of keep thinking about it in terms of how can we make the best practices like almost tough to avoid, right? And I think a lot of other great products like Next.js are doing similar things where it's like they'll kind of like nudge you or yell at you if you're not, like following certain SEO practices or like adding alt tags to your images, right? So things like that, we're constantly trying to make those kits better so that integrating a CMS into your Next.js app is just incredibly easy. Into your Nuxt app, we have a great Nuxt module. So part of the team is focused on those things, both the integrations that users will pick up and use, but also working internally to create better tools. Well, yeah, I guess it's all external facing at the end of the day. But for the next quarter or so, they're going to be working internally to make our local development environment, or rather our local development tool, which is called Slice Machine, and you can guess why it's called that. It's the machine that helps you make slices. See, it just makes sense. To make that even more powerful and just make it so that it has like a whole. Make it easier to bring on new frameworks into Slice Machine, because right now, as we're building this new tool out, that one is only for Next and Nuxt. But talk to me like June, July-ish, and it should be kind of like floodgates open up to a lot of other frameworks, which we love and want to support. So that's just part of what my team's working on. We also handle the blog, we also handle the community, and we also handle like events. We're doing live streams and just trying to like make Prismic as a community, as a platform, a good place for developers, for freelancers, for agencies to be a part of. So it's awesome working on this team. I don't know what I'm doing on the team, man. I'm just I'm managing, trying to get stuff out of their way, but also doing the streams. Like I said, kind of like focused on hiring, but also focused on Slice Machine and like working on the developer experience there, and like finding out like how DX is a lot like UX, and it's just like this needs to make the developers as efficient as possible. Let's make this button behave differently. Let's make this more clear. All that kind of stuff has been really fun lately. So I've been doing both an external and internal kind of role with Prismic.
Gotcha. Nice. Very cool. I am curious. So you touched a little bit on community building there. How would you compare the community building around Frontend Horse and Prismic? Because like I imagine it feels pretty organic with Frontend Horse because there's not, you're not tied to a product. So it's like people who are interested in this thing are there. Is that do you also find that to be true with Prismic, or is it a little bit more nuanced in how that community comes together?
Yeah, it's interesting. So we actually have a great community manager in Eric, and he honestly, he's been a great resource for me as I stumbled into community building. Like it was never a thing where I'm like, I'm gonna make horse puns and grow a community. Like that was not the day one plans, right? But it's just like, all right, this is happening. I should figure out how to do this now. And he's been great to kind of ask questions about, because he's an absolute pro in terms of building community, helping people, just facilitating community. I see, like, I don't even know how else to say it. I don't have synonyms because I'm not that great at it. But he would have synonyms like left and right.
Got
but
the
anyway,
vocabulary. He's got the vocab down. Yeah.
Oh my, so many words. All the words. No.
Words.
So
yeah. It's important for communities. All the words. You gotta.
I mean, if a community runs out of words, that's what you know that community is done for. Absolutely.
Exactly. Totally.
No. So yeah, it's definitely interesting because I think you touched on something real there, where with Frontend Horse, it's like I'm very clearly not selling anything. And and with Prismic, we're also not like trying to sell a thing, but also it's tied to a company, and the company is not just me, and I can kind of like say whatever I want with Frontend Horse, and it's just organic thing that kind of springs up. Where with the community with Prismic, it's a lot more listening and hearing what the users need right now, what they need to be successful, what they've been looking for, right? And so we've been acting on those things. Like we are actively trying to build out ways to showcase our developers better, where like before we weren't doing as good of a job at saying like, check out these cool freelancers. They built these awesome sites. Look at how good these are. Like, or like this person wrote a tutorial, like showing you how to make a Nuxt and Prismic app. Awesome. We love this. Like, promoting those sorts of things and building the community up that way wasn't something that we were doing as much. And we are, working on getting better at that. And just doing a lot of listening, where with Frontend Horse, it was just like, these are the shows that I'm putting on. These are the things I'm already putting out in the newsletter and the blog. And you kind of just attract those sorts of people naturally. And I don't have to like listen to complaints or not complaints, but like concerns or needs as much, and be like, I need to fill this niche, or like I have to address that, demographic. It's just kind of like hey, if you're here, you probably like creative coding and fun and puns, horse puns, most of all. So that's kind of the key there.
Nice. Yeah, that makes sense. You answered my next question as well, which was, how do you guys kind of determine what to focus on next as that dev experience team? But yeah, I feel like it makes sense. When you have strong community building happening, it kind of just organically, like, we know what users want because we hear about it all the time.
Yeah, I mean, it's a bit of both. Where like you still have to kind of keep an eye on the mission, because not to pull the old Henry Ford quote, but like if you listen,
right.
Yeah,
it's like, about horses, right? Is there a horse thing in there?
That's the only quotes I know. So okay, I was going to say, gotcha. When it built a faster car, or when it built a car, would it build a faster horse? Which I think was still a good idea. I think we should go back to the drawing board there. But anyway, where's this faster horse? We want it. But no, I think it's important to like hear what the community needs, and also kind of bring them along, and don't lose them as you're saying, like, we've got this new idea, like headless website builder, right? Like that we would have just built a better headless CMS, or like just kind of continue to iterate in that space without creating this new thing of like, what if developers didn't have to build every single page and every single page type? We just opened it up to the editors. So
yeah, nice.
It's a bit of both.
Nice. Awesome. Cool.
I just to add to that, I think one of the key parts is we use the product, and I feel like so many not companies, but like I feel like so many things can get lost if you're just focusing on shipping the button for the thing and you never like use the full flow of a product, right? Like if like your users are feeling different pains than you are as the person who created the little toggle or whatever, because they have to use it in the context of creating an entire website or whatever the product is that you're working on. So if you're not an actual user of the product, you're not going to find the stuff that slows your users down or frustrates them or make them leave. And so that's like kind of the key thing about the developer experience team is that we're using it and we're saying, oh, it'd be so much nicer if this actually did this, right? Like that's the key. So
yeah, for sure. Like most for your users, it's not the thing that they're spending, 40 hours a week looking at. It's like I do this twice a week, and it's annoying when it doesn't work, and it's a whole different ballgame. Yeah,
exactly.
Yeah. We're very much about that here at LogRocket as well, because like we have web properties. It's great when we use the tool on them to understand the pains users are feeling and everything. So yeah, we're all about that. Like use your tool, and you'll understand the pains of the users. Then it's great for testing and user empathy and all kinds of stuff.
And coming up with new ideas, right? You're like,
exactly.
Oh, I wish this did this.
Yeah,
right?
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, it's super, super helpful. Cool. Awesome. Well, I feel like we've covered a lot so far. I guess, yeah, is there anything you're excited about in web dev at large, kind of in the next 6 months, next year?
Yeah, I mean, once I like, so I've been looking at Astro and Remix and SvelteKit as like the 3 frameworks that I'm just like, oh, if I had like an hour more each week, I would be like just getting into those and like really building things with those. I actually do have an Astro site, but I just don't feel like I build enough with it. But those frameworks bringing in those, I don't know, like not new way of doing things, but with Astro, it's the islands architecture. With Remix, I don't even have my head around it entirely, but it's just like kind of falling back to good old, this is the way the web works. Why are we reinventing things? And then SvelteKit with just being svelte and coming in and just being kind of great. I actually have an Astro Svelte site. So like, if people aren't familiar, Astro allows you to pretty much run with any. It can be React, Vue, Svelte. I think Solid. I think like they don't care what you throw at it, but Astro is an awesome framework that lets you bring whatever you want. Lets you write with whatever you want, and then it just compiles down to no JavaScript unless you opt in. So you can like build an entire page in React and then spit out a just HTML and CSS site. And you might be like, why though? Like, well, why would you do that? It's like, if I like JSX or I like Vue, like I like that templating. I don't like nunjucks, and I don't like writing just pure HTML, right? Like we have these things for a reason.
There's nice abstractions there. Just add just like the developer experience in and of itself, I feel like is enough. Like there's so much tooling around the pipelines and just everything. It's just like, oh,
right.
Yeah,
and
of course.
And but at the same time, like my static text and image site doesn't need to hydrate over every time, right? So like, why am I shipping JavaScript at all? Or I just have this one little button at the bottom that if someone clicks it, it does a JavaScript thing. Only ship JavaScript for that component. That's such a cool idea and a cool concept. And Astro just has a lot of really neat ideas around that. So I'm pretty big on Astro right now. But once again, I want to get into it. And then there's like CSS subgrid and container queries and just so much cool happening in the CSS world. Like I'm excited for web dev and everything that's coming.
Yeah,
it's all good.
Totally with. Yeah, and I feel like I keep seeing it as like I keep asking people these kinds of questions. I keep talking about it. I keep seeing it bubble up on Hacker News. I'm just like, I need a new project to go like play with Astro with to justify really getting in the weeds and understanding. But yeah, I'm with you there. Nice. How about for Frontend Horse? Anything new coming? Stuff you're excited about?
So one of the like my favorite stream so far has been the holiday snowtacular that we did back in December. The community got involved, helped to come up with the designs, and it was a full community effort, and it was 4 hours, just like one big super stream. 12 guests, had like Scott Hanselman, Chris Coyer, Cassidy Williams, like just all these like big, like just these like wonderful people, and back to back, just this wonderful thing. And we raised $10,000 for charity, had a bunch of great sponsors, and it was just like so much fun to see everyone like come together to build this thing. And so we're doing one in the summer, either June or July. We're planning it for. So going to be another big thing, hoping to raise more, but I'm not going to commit to that thing because, you know, I don't want to say, but yeah. But yeah, the winter stream has been like the highlight of the community so far for me. And oh man, like just cool graphics made for it. It's just been a lot of fun. So summer, we're looking for a summer one and then a winter one again. Every 6 months, just do a really big stream, raise some money for charity. It'll be a good time.
Nice. I guess if there are people kind of looking to get involved and jump in, is there anything you'd point them to in particular? Check out the Twitch stream, check out the Discord, anything else?
Yeah, I think dropping in the Discord and dropping a horse pun or two is like the best way you can get involved. But
nice.
There, you know, it's on Twitter at Frontend Horse, and yeah, sign up for the newsletter. Like you know, like there's lots of vectors into the whole thing, but it's a super friendly Discord. You don't have to even drop a pun. We'll just say hi to you. But
nice.
Yeah,
cool, awesome. Anything else you wanna shout out or plug, point listeners to?
No, just want to say thanks for having me, and yeah, always fun to chat about the community. Always fun to chat about Prismic. So really appreciate you inviting me on.
No, of course, Alex. Yeah, it was great chatting. Thank you for answering all my questions and getting in the weeds a little bit. Yeah, it was great. Thanks.